Hi, this is Dan Heisman, Philly tutor for Chess FM. This is the Improve Your Chess video series for ICC members. In today's video, we're going to do something a little different. We like to do different things once in a while. Bobby Fischer was famous for saying, "I never make a mistake in analysis." But of course, Bobby would never have said this in the computer age when we have computers that are rated hundreds of points better than any human that ever lived. So I thought it might be fun to take a random game from his book, My 60 Memorable Games, and go through the game and kind of check his notes and kind of see what the computer says. So I'm using Stockfish 7, I believe, to compare for Fischer's notes. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let's bring up the game. Examine percent my library. There it is, Reshevsky Fischer. This is the 11th match game in Los Angeles, 1961. Fischer is black, Reshevsky's white. Famous match that they played ended up in a lawsuit. It is game number 28 in the well-known book, My 60 Memorable Games. The name of the game is called Impeccable Draw. All right, so I actually transposed the first two white moves when I put it in, but actually Reshevsky opened up c4 first, and then he played d4 to get to this position. Fischer plays g6, knight c3, and now d5 is the Grunfeld. Bishop g7 is King's Indian. Fischer was known to play both of these. Fischer goes for King's Indian this time. e4, and now the standard move to stop e5 is d6, and instead Fischer plays the provocative move, castles, which he played against in an earlier game in the book against Letellier. So he does the same thing against Reshevsky, kind of saying, all right, I'm not afraid of e5 here. I'll put my knight on e8 and then break up your center. Reshevsky goes, yeah, and says bishop e2, which is the normal move against d6. Fischer says, all right, fine, now that you've done that, I'll play d6 and transpose back into, this is now the main line of the King's Indian. Reshevsky plays knight f3, Fischer plays e5. Again, this is the main line of the main line. White castles, black plays knight c6. White plays d5 and black plays knight to e7. So this is the Tabia position. And the three most well-known moves are the bayonet attack b4, knight to e1, and knight to d2. And for a while, when Kasparov gave up the King's Indian, he was afraid, I shouldn't say afraid, he didn't like playing against the b4 line, but since then, the grandmasters have kind of neutralized that. And the move that Grandmaster Larry Kaufman recommends here, based on his computer analysis with Komodo, is to play knight e1. And what makes this game interesting, or one of the things that makes it interesting, is Reshevsky did play knight e1. So this is the line that Komodo and Grandmaster Kaufman recommend in their book, the Kaufman Repertoire in Black and White. So black plays knight d7. If you're a King's Indian player, the easy way to remember this is whatever white does with a knight, you do the opposite. If he plays knight e1, you go to d7. And if he plays knight to d2 in this position, you play knight to e8. All right, so knight to d1. And Fischer plays knight d7. Now, in the Kaufman book, using the computer, they decided the most accurate move order is to move the bishop to e3 right away. And when black breaks with f5, you play f3. And that way, if black plays f4, you can play bishop f2 and keep your bishop on the break square c5. And according to Larry Kaufman and Komodo, white gets a pretty nice game out of this. So a lot of people have been playing this. I think there's a grandmaster over in Europe who's been teaching all his students to play this line against the King's Indian as well. So in this game, of course, we're about 50 years too young for that line. So Reshevsky is not aware of any of these nuances, and he plays knight d3. But now when black plays f5, white can't play bishop e3 because f4